one, like Lilia was way too strong, Gyu on Aurelia was way too strong, and them being on red side might just mean that with that counter pick availability for them, TSM will respect it and say, you know what, no Aurelia, no Lilia, go back to neutrality, want normal meta, please.
Alright, well I can promise you this is not the same draft as we had in the last one, even though the sides and the current bans are the same. Galio, Nidalee, Graves, Morgana a bit earlier here for Evil Geniuses being taken off the board. They banned it in phase 2 in the last game, if I recall correctly, but probably just insulating against Caitlyn Morgana taking over the 2v2. Twisted Fate going to be banned once again by TSM, so no real changes. Evil Geniuses, we'll see if they keep banning the Akali. That was kind of the red side ban in phase 1 that stuck out to me from EG.
Yeah, and possibly see if there's going to be a Caitlyn ban coming in here from Evil Geniuses. Like, they're sort of hanging on this third and final ban for quite a while, considering if they should take that one away or if they should ban that Shen instead, or as a matter of fact, possibly a Zoe either. But they go for the Gangplank anyways. I don't know if I fully agree with that, but hey, it does mean Akali goes through, and they steal that away from Gyu for TSM Academy.
Instant Akali pick there for TSM. I mean, you know, you play Zoe, getting beaten up by Aurelia in lane all along. Doesn't feel all that fun for Evolved. And even though, again, he has played so many control mages this year in Academy, kind of in his burgeoning pro career, the thing that stuck out to most for me when I started watching Evolved play was at Scattergrounds, before he got picked up eventually by TSM. He was actually drafted by EG, by the way, as the first pick overall in that Honda Scouting Grounds. His Akali, which was a menace in the metagame at that time, was disgusting. So, like, yes, this is a player that is trying to, like, learn how to play pro and, you know, be a good teammate and be a complete player. But here's Akali and his Assassins. He's a Katarina player, of course. He knows his way around this kind of pick for sure, as Lux exhibits an O from Coco the Dragon.
Yes, a big old O, because I'm curious if it's going to be just sitting into that bottom lane, sort of being a substitute to what Morgana does with being bindings and being shields and just providing that decent amount of damage and harassment in that bottom side. That's the most predictable way, but honestly, I'd always love to see if Yu decides to bamboozle us and throw it into the mid lane against Akali, which would be an interesting ploy. Nonetheless, they had a pretty creative composition last time around. Why not continue the trend? As a more traditional style from TSM Academy, they go ahead and grab the Ashe away, which was sort of flipped around. So we have a swapsies of marksmen for both these teams going into game 2. And honestly, if you go for any sort of safe jungler against Anda, it's probably the best bet, because that's one of the bigger deficits between these two teams is Winston's proactivity against Anda's proactivity. It's a fairly huge gap, and honestly, going with an early game Olaf might help sort of make that gap a little bit smaller and easier to jump over.
Yep, TSM have kept it pretty simple for Winston as well. As far as champions go, he's often there facilitating his team, not necessarily carrying it, where Ander is a genuine carry threat on this side. It feels more like his mid laner is helping get him ahead, rather than what is typically the opposite. What has been the opposite, where the jungler helps mid laner get ahead. So there is that different dynamic between these two teams. And that way, and with Lilia available, actually decides straight for Lee Sin, maybe trying to detect this Akali a little bit more.
Yeah, might see if we go for a little bit more of a beefier jungle end. Like, they could possibly flex a Volibear if they decide to, going into R4. But even then, I'd rather have someone who has a little bit more, like, damage here for this top lane for Kumo. Like, I want to see R4 Renekton instead. Set's still available, so you could say, you know what, well, we could do a set mid and then possibly do a carry for Kumo instead if he's really feeling it. But at this time, honestly, I don't think there's anything that TSM Academy has to worry about outside of a potential Aurelia still on the board.
Yeah, going to take LeBlanc out of the picture. That's been one of the more common counter picks to Akali. As you mentioned, there certainly is the possibility of Lux mid, although it's a little unlikely. Lux is surprisingly good into Assassin-like champions. Turns out having shields and a binding makes it really hard for Assassins to kill you, which is all they really want to do.
Yeah, and if anything tells me about sort of the historical practice of these two teams, Gyu will try and sort of go punch for punch here, might go for an aggressive style, like Aurelia still being available, could R4 that one. Renekton is still on the table as well for both of these top laners, and with the jungles both being filled out, it's a question of how much will TSM Academy allow Evil Geniuses to sort of create optimization and priority tools to help Anda out in that jungle, or will they be able to deny them, neutralize them potentially with some of these more stronger top lane or mid or sort of bot lane performances, because we still have to get the support for Treats. You could go Ashe Braum once again, which is an extremely strong lane, and you could still have a Renekton here once more. Like, I keep pushing on this Renekton. I know it's obnoxious, I know it's a meme, but honestly, it's the best thing that I think Dokler could grab up going into game 2.
I like Renekton off-wall here a lot for EG if they want to go for that, but they are going to mix it up here and go for Jace.
He's question mark?
Was banned.
Maybe? Okay.
Last game, yeah, Jace for Kuma.
And it was, it was banned from TSM actually last time, so I'm kind of intrigued to see how well he's going to be going into it blind, as a matter of fact. So it actually does sort of counteract these fighters as well. So a potential Camille is on the board because she has a better gap closing tool with her hook shot coming in and being able to get on there and then make sure that she can stay with that. But they decide, you know what, Shen might be a little bit better, say forfeit this top side, you can farm as much as you want, Kumo, I'm going to pay attention to this bottom side, and honestly maybe look for, I was going to say an engagement support might be great, like a Nautilus is still available, Leona is still available, all of those are on the table, and if you have a Shen and a Kali to just roam down to this bottom lane and dive, that's probably the best option for TSM to really get this rolling.
Oh my god, they did pick Soraka!
I don't agree with this, Pastry. I was really praying, I was saying don't talk about the hover, don't talk about it, and they just block it anyways. Throw all my points out the window. Treats, please help me understand this one, because now it just creates a sense of neutrality for this team, for TSM, and there's no real lane outside of mid lane unevolved to really double down on with Winston's.
Lilia.
Okay, there we go. That's the top lane Lilia for Kumo, I'm guessing, and then mid lane Jace for...
Ooh, alright.
Alright, okay. I like it.
Definitely getting creative with their flex picks there for EG. I like that a lot. I also was trying to figure out, like, what on earth does Vladimir block? And like, and I did completely forgot about Shen. I was thinking about tanks, and I'm like, no one cares about Ord. It's not on. But Shen, of course, being the big one that sticks out for not being banned. And with DP banned as well, I think it's actually really well positioned in this draft. However, there is an Akali, a Soraka, and a Lilia Ord in this game, so we should probably talk about that instead.
Yeah, let's talk about those ones, because honestly, Lilia kind of does that counteractment, sort of the same as Vladimir, because you're not going to be auto-attacking with her. You're just going to be spinning around, getting that true damage on her Q online, and then looking for more of those obnoxious sort of death by 1,000 cuts strategies for her. And honestly, like, this is the issue I have with TSM's draft, is that with the Soraka lock-in, you don't have a lane to prioritize to get it online. Yes, Ashe with Enchanted Crystal Arrow is great, and you could possibly lock them up with the silencing zone with the root coming in from Raka, but you don't have priority in it, right? Because you have a Lux and a Caitlyn who are going to just keep you at arm's reach, honestly a 10-foot pole reach to be fair, and it'll just allow the rest of the team of Evil Geniuses Academy to do what they want. So I'm very interested on how it goes, but you know, it might play out completely differently.
Did see the whole bottom lane as well before picking it here. I mean, unless they thought Lux was being flexed and they were last picking support, but had a pretty good idea that this was going to be it. And I know Treats does keep up a lot with, you know, different picks. I know he and Doublelift when he was in the LCS, they were playing Sona Lux that Cloud9 pulled out in the LCS a couple weeks ago. So Treats is definitely a player that has his finger on the pulse as far as what picks are viable and is always pushing himself to play more champions. Yes, he plays Braum a lot as well because he's extremely good on that champion, but I am curious to see what the thinking is here. And don't worry, if we're questioning him now, he'll answer on Twitter later. He's very active there as well. So curious to see whatever the explanation is. But I agree. I always worry when I see Soraka because it just seems so fragile. But if it's good, it's so annoying.
For sure. And it's something where me thinking about going into a Lux Caitlyn, you can say, yes, it's long range, and you can play back as Soraka and just say, you know what, I'm going to throw out those Qs, try and stack that up as much as possible, see if I can go for some additional help and roaming with the jungle invasions that Ande will inevitably just start to throw out and prioritize in this bottom lane. But it doesn't really bring a valid argument or a strong argument, to be fair, because Lux has an extremely long range with Caitlyn. You can poke out fairly easily with them and always have that priority. So yes, you have that capability to sort of throw out and do a sustain war with them. It's not the strongest, and it's really honestly not the most advantageous for the rest of your team to just be sitting there and just giving priority over to the side of Deathly and Matt.
I'm curious to see if they do get pushed in a lot because
For sure.
Ashe is also very good at pushing, especially against Caitlyn. It's actually one of the more common picks, which is why the Caitlyn-Ashe dynamic is so interesting right now because everyone seems to want Caitlyn because she's so good, but Ashe is also very good and is also quite good into Caitlyn. So I think we are starting to see support matchups actually be way more relevant than at least we've noticed in the past. And we're seeing a lot of support start to counterpick and hold off on their picks to try and navigate the matchup more because at the end of the day, a 2v2 is exactly that. It's not just about each single champion playing against each other. It's about how all 4 champions interact with each other in the bottom lane, which I think is why we're spending all this time talking about Soraka because this isn't a champion we have nearly as much current knowledge about, and it's something that is a little less proven than even someone like Lux, which isn't that common, but already fits the blueprint of a champion we see very often with Caitlyn.
For sure, and that's what's going to be so great about this game going into it is seeing how interactive Soraka is in this matchup, in this 2v2 scenario, because with the Caitlyn and Ashe, as you mentioned, being extremely strong in their own rights, one utility with Ashe with her Enchanted Crystal Arrow and her Hawkshot to keep track of Anda and start engagements, and then Caitlyn with just her ludicrous amount of damage with Lux to sort of help reinforce that and really make kills easier to secure. Both of these 2v2 scenarios are viable in their own ways. Now it comes down to the fact of how these teams are going to optimize the conditions that these two provide, especially with a very scrappy mid lane with Akali and Jace going head to head.
All right, we have lots of questions and we'll get answers in just a few moments. We are stepping away to build up the game delay, but in just a few minutes we'll have the game right from the start. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back. We're almost ready for Game 2 of TSM Academy versus Evil Geniuses Academy. The champ select is done. We got some spicy ones up and down the board. But we're starting the bottom lane once again. If you're just tuning in, there is a Soraka in bottom lane there for treats alongside the Ashe, and Caitlyn this time is being paired with Lux. So with some of the conventional supports being banned around, they're still trying to assemble strong 2v2s, albeit with some slightly different champions.
Yeah, and we talked a lot about it going outside of the draft and through the draft, all around it, but it's just a mention of going from, yes, the stale ADC meta is great, we love Caitlyn and Ashe, now it's a question of how varying of a delicious support comp can we really make, and Soraka is one of those things, as well as Lux, that can make a delicious pick or kite comp, depending on how you build around it. So both of those, I'm going to be interested to see how they interact with each other and keep tabs on those. But the top side of the map really tells the tale of these two comps, where Lilia on Kumo tells, all right, we're going to do pokes and we're going to kite around you and try and whittle you away, death of 1,000 cuts, where Dokla and Winston say, you know what, we want to be scrappy, we want to dive you, we want to fight you, get really into your face, and then be able to take objectives once you're just completely gray screened and taken off the board.
Yeah, as you can see, the team's fanning out across the rift once again. There will be no creative level 1 action, as all the teams are just going to chill out. Looks like Ander isn't getting any help. Dokla is going to get some there, but Kuma is already going to wander in. He's got the comment. He's ready to start spinning that branch around, but does not want to face check this Shen, which I think is very smart. Because if Dokla hasn't skilled the point and you get taunted, for sure the Olaf will chase you.
Oh yeah, and you have no escape tools on Kumo. Sure, you go Q and you get some bonus movement speed while you hit people, but even then, you have the axe, which will just chase you down. And honestly, I think we've all seen how well deers do against hunters in that traditional sense. But nonetheless, the fact that it is a calm and stale start to the game does help out Evil Genius's Academy a bit, because it allows Anded to do his thing, fast clear, get aggressive, get into Winston's face, and then they can just grab priority of these lanes. Because I want to give it to you, Lux, Caitlyn probably have a little bit better level 3 style than Treats and Lost respectively, and the same goes for Kumo and Gyu. They'll be able to push them back underneath their turret, farm safely, and give those priorities like we see right now. And it is completely safe to just go ahead and take this red and possibly triple buff Winston.
Yeah, Winston unfortunately is walking to a side of the jungle that has already been cleared off by Ander. That level 1 is really interesting as far as jungle passing goes, but
yeah,
hold that thought because Ander, okay, he's just going to go Krugs. He is going to be spotted here, I believe. Yep, it's going to sniff it out, and he'll be chased off. He actually takes a ton of poke already from the two bottom laners.
Good call from the TSM Academy squad. With Winston going to that top end, he sort of said, you know what, I'm going to see it. I'm expecting Anda to force me into a vertical jungling style. A little bummed out that the red buff was already gone for him, but it does communicate to Lost in Trees to say, hey, because I think he's going vertical jungling, check the Krugs, check my buff, see if he's there. And the fact that they got confirmation on it does mean that Winston can go ahead and clear this top side and possibly punish Kumo, who is fairly in over his head.
Yeah, this lane's in a really bad spot, but a route down to the bottom side is going to be in trouble for Treats. First blood is going to happen as the headshot is going to connect, but Kumo's going to be second breakfast as Winston's going to take him down.
All right, well, a successful plan from both of these teams, and possibly we'll be able to burst him down even more.
Oh my goodness.
Weeshi there. Lost is in a very unfun situation, but nonetheless, the fact that both of these teams were able to get a kill onto either side of the map really helps them out, especially the fact that Deathly and Matt got a solo kill without any jungle assist. So here, let's look at that again. I was talking about the level 3 power spike of Deathly and Matt, and this is exactly the punishment that you receive.
Oh, brutal kill there as Treats does fall down. Soraka is so fragile. Winston just with great pathing. Yep. Off the information that his team gave him by spotting Ander, whose extremely creative counter jungling has led to a little bit of a farm lead now for Winston, because he was able to take down at least one extra small camp, because the TSM dual lane forced Ander off. But the fact that he even got there is really cool. Like, a long time ago, we took off Lee Sin's ability to actually W allies, which includes minions, and I don't remember the duration enough, but Ander actually W to a minion, which normally would be revealed, because the little shield would still be on there, but because of that change made a long time ago, Ander was able to take the fastest route possible to take that red. So even though he was spotted, which was also good for TSM, Ander with a very creative bit of pathing out, which is something he's certainly been on top of. This man has to study like almost every jungler in the world, I feel like. He's always got a new path going, as Kumo getting 1v1 by old Doku because he ate a taunt and he hasn't TP'd yet. So
Yeah,
spend some of that money.
Unfortunately for him, Dokla on Shen just absolutely slaps with those Q charges as well on the sword, so he'll be able to really bully him out. I'm curious to see how well the Lilia pick goes into the Shen. Like, yes, he can willy you away, but you kind of need some items to make sure that the AP scaling on your kit really comes into full effect and feels impactful, right? And with how Anda has been sort of walking around this map, he's not going to have the priority or even the pressure from his jungler to really look for kills either. So yes, they're all pushed out. Yes, they've got all of the TSM Academy under the turrets of their own lanes respectively. Check that box for Evil Geniuses Academy. Now you really need to double down on it. Look for some dragons, sneak away a herald, take some camps away from Winston, and Winston is actually on the upper hand here, making sure he has pressure.
Matt's in trouble as well, got eaten by a couple of slows there, but there's Winston going to get shot up there, and a low, and he's going to be killed by Lost, and now Matt's in trouble. He does have his flash, he's surely going to be forced to use it here, but he doesn't go for it yet. Lost instead flashes in for the quick double kill, and now Giyu's down here looking for the sniper. Treats has healed everybody up to full, so Winston's going to go back in, maybe fancy a fight onto Deathly, and Giyu is way too late to influence this skirmish.
I don't know why Evil Geniuses would go and try and re-engage in that fight. Like, you can see Winston's level 5. Anda should have communicated that he's level 4. There's no way that they can burst him down. They don't have an Ignite available either, so Treats can just heal him all the way back up. And you can't get the 1-for-1 either because of that specific reason. And now because you got in way in over your head, yes, Giyu is coming down, but it is already too late, and you lose that control on this bottom side. A lot of it going over to Lost, now being 2-0, grabs that BF sword to boot, so now you got Berserkers against double longswords and a BF. You're not going to be able to trade anymore, and that's what you needed from Deathly and Matt. To be able to do such a thing, to create pressure, it's going to be a lot harder for Evil Geniuses Academy to win back that bottom lane tempo.
Bit of a preview on how good Lilia can be, by the way. Kumo is going to try and fish for the sleep setup, but Anda's here instead for the dive. Spins around, go to sleep, little Shen, and Anda is going to get the kill as Kumo going to jump straight on that Shen.
Yeah, that's almost all Kumo right there. Like, Anda was still level 4 coming in for that gank. He got the bowling ball, got the sleep, and just thwack with the Eep. And great job from him in that solo lane. I was thinking of how interactive and punishing Kumo's Lilia will be. I think I got my answer, Pastry, as now we can see if we can possibly look for some pressure on this bottom side. Honestly, Winston should just sort of clear top to bot, maybe look for a reset and prepare for this Infernal Dragon. Evil Geniuses does have the tempo and pretty much the damage to catch them off guard and speed past for this objective.
Yeah, mid lane though is the kind of the last place we wanted to touch, and so far it's going great for Giyu with the counter pick J series. Got the Hex Drinker already. He's constantly pushing in Akali. I mean, this is somewhat expected. Akali's actually not a particularly good laner. In fact, she's not particularly good until she gets Gunblade without assistance, but Evolved is getting slammed in CS right now, so this is certainly a gap he's going to look to try and close if he can, and he has been given a very high agency champion. Evolved has been so good at playing control mages, at just kind of farming things out and being a very consistent player with TSM Academy since starting his career this year. But we don't see him go off all that often, and you don't have good Akali games unless you pop off, so Evolve can certainly look to impress here on a different type of pick.
And honestly, I'm not too worried, even with the deficit, right? Like, you're going into a melee versus ranged matchup, hypothetically, with Jace and with the trading that he can do, with Phase Rush as well, which means he's not, like, you're not going to be able to stick onto him when you try and look for those punch versus punch situations. So, honestly, just wait until you get that Hextech Gunblade and really pop off, and this is what I was talking about with Evil Geniuses Academy, to try and be a little bit faster on these objectives against TSM, because you have the damage to clear them fairly fast. All 5 members are here and available. And here comes the fight with the Enchanted.
Arrow's so good there, comboing with the root out of Soraka, and that's going to be 2 kills so easily. Winston just going off there with the Ragnarok, picking away. They've already got 3 kills, and Olaf's going to go ahead and grab the double, and EG just get routed by TSM.
It was just TSM Academy taking the fight and using the composition that they need, being scrappy and diving straight into the face of Evil Geniuses Academy. They didn't have the tools to disengage them properly. Ragnarok came in, denied the Dragon's Rage kick, and looking back at this one again, it is all on Lost and Treats, keeping Winston alive, just dishing out the pain. And this is what we were talking about, losing that bottom lane tempo through the damage trading allows Winston to stay alive, because there's no way this front line is going to survive against Lost's Ash right now.
Oh, Soraka E just destroyed for EG there after that last arrow. So I think Anna got caught in a collateral and was the second root and the second kill there, followed by the third that TSM were able to get. Even though you were right, by the way, 2v2 certainly were getting pushed in the matchup. That doesn't matter now. 3-0-1, Essence Reaver done now for Lost, and Treats is just walking around, healing people up, being a nuisance, and setting up his AD with that follow-up route from Soraka. This looks filthy right now with the last fight we just watched.
And a methodical strategy here from TSM Academy saying, you know what, we've got that tempo pressure. We don't really want to deal with Deathly and Matt as much as we need to, so just go ahead, rotate to this top side, prepare for the Herald. We have the scrappy fight comp, so we should use it. Look to contest these objectives when Evil Geniuses doesn't have the time, nor the preparation to really be ready for these fights. And Winston already has the Ragnarok available once more. He has the Cinder Hulk, and there's the Crystal Arrow looking.
Oh, it's just so gross. Goodbye, Matt. Lost is going to take him down. There's just arrow into root. I mean, we talk about Morgana, Caitlyn, and more. In this case, Caitlyn Lux being good at locking people up. When you nail arrows like that, it's pretty easy for Soraka to follow up with her CC as well. Winston even going to go ahead and take the Rift Herald, and he was kind of invisible in game number 1, but certainly not the case here. 3-0-3, grabbing the Herald, destroying these early fights as well. Everything is going right for TSM.
And this is perfect play from them to just completely play around Lost on this Ashe. With the Essence Reaver, it's only the pickaxe that Deathly has for himself, and the damage is just there. The damage just completely obliterates anything Evil Genius's squishy comp even is able to provide, and it's giving me a nice argument now for why Treats picks up this Soraka. Sure, it's not good trading in a 2v2 situation, but if you already have that advantage on Ashe with the items, with the damage output against Caitlyn, it sort of nullifies anything that Deathly is able to do. And sure, this dive might be possible from Anda and Kumo, but you still have so much pressure on this top side that you need to answer for.
Yeah, Evolve can't come, so there's actually no one to help Dokla, so I'm surprised he's sticking around this long. I think he thinks he can maybe outplay, but he's going to go to sleep. Puts up the Spirit's Refuge, going to get bonked on there by the Lilia W.
Nice
Even
wish.
now down here as well, Taunt going to miss. Good wish there from Treats, as you mentioned. That is the global that TSM had access to, but Dokla is going to fall, but top lane is where the trouble is going to start. Definitely going to get flashed on there and taken out. Now Matt going to be the next one on the menu. Does have his flash this time. He uses it early, but TSM will be happy to trade as Dokla buys a lot of time.
They were looking for that dive on the bottom side of the map to try and get a kill onto Dokla to help relieve some pressure from TSM Academy, but Evil Geniuses, they just don't have the safety in this side lane of Deathly and Matt. Lost immediately jumps onto them with the help of Winston. Once more, the cooldown on this Enchanted Crystal Arrow is just insane right now, and they're able to find more kills, making it an 8-3 differential kill-wise. And sure, it's only 2,000 gold, but a lot of that is just dumped right onto Lost and Treats, grabbing some more damage to just keep this tempo going.
Yeah, Rift out dropped there by Winston as well, so they take the top outer, they get the first brick, they knock down a pretty big amount of health on the tier 2 and top lane as well, and look at that gold, 1,500 ahead for Lost.
And for Winston as well, he's got about 5,600 to the 4,000 that Anda has, and this is just not the game for Anda. I was thinking of a more aggressive style, and he is just not being able to provide it ever since that bot side dragon fight went awry. And this is just disgusting to watch, honestly. There's nothing else to break down about it. It's just Lost is optimizing his lead. He's finding those picks, making those plays, and Treats and Winston are just there to reap the rewards.
Rank 1 arrows back up, by the way. Essence is working overtime. As Lost has not missed on camera, I believe, as far as arrows go. Hawkshot also going to get some action there in the top side. Checking to see if Anda was hiding out in that little brush, but he is not. Definitely Matt in the 2v1, however. Very effective here at pushing things down, but they are going to lose mid-outer real swiftly if they can't do this particular push with haste.
Okay. I'm curious to see if Anda will go for this dive. I don't think you have the damage there, though, because you don't have any max HP shred like you do with Lilia when you try and look for a dive with Kumo to assist on it. And now with the rotations that TSM Academy has, where they're just throwing Lost and Treats into this mid lane, saying get as many turret plates as you possibly can, Kumo doesn't have the mobility.
Oh, see you later.
Oh, answer the evolved here.
So well played there by Evolve, just cleanly keeping out of Lilia's range and then all-inning at the right time. That is, without a Gunblade, actually stopped off at Seekers because of the 1v1 matchup. So had no MR at all for that 1v1 and just deletes Kumo from the bottom lane. As the second dragon's going to go over to TSM as well. Now mid lane Lost, he just doesn't miss these arrows. He flashes in. Treats are there to protect him. He's probably fine here. He's Dokla riding in on the stand. United is going to mean that EG cannot fight. But this time, Lost hits an arrow and doesn't get a kill, which has been a first so far in this game.
And constantly pressure from TSM Academy, getting that dragon moving straight to the mid lane to try and find more kills, open up this game even more. And thankfully for Evil Geniuses Academy, they're able to keep the gold tempo fairly close. But honestly, I just see the Leandri's Torment just bought on from Kumo. I look at the rest of the team and it's like, okay, you got Warriors Enchantment for Onda, sure, but you have no survivability here from any of the members to stay alive against Lost and Treats. There's a Hex Drinker on Gyu. Sure, that's great, but that's against Evolved, and they're just throwing Evolved into other situations. Honestly, sure, I'm going to see Evolved come down and he's going to butt heads with Gyu for a little bit, but they should just reply, swap it around, make it to where you are contesting Kumo more, because seeing that solo kill onto Kumo is just the best treat for TSM Academy to have, and swapping that just really amplifies the pressure.
Yeah, we've seen again, Gyu be really good on Assassins, picking off side laners, Evolved showing similar prowess there in that last engagement. Doku also just hanging out, you know, taking his lumps there. Been weak side top lane, everyone's been hanging out. He had 3 people there briefly. Kumo's got like a 30 CS lead or so, and Doku's just going to go ahead and contest the Grump. Lilia passive is going to give that 105 gold over, as Dokla will not be put to sleep this time around. But again, he's just chilling out.
Yeah, I don't like that they're sitting in this lane. I really want to see a swap because this is going to happen with Anda saying we have the damage to actually burst down Evolved underneath the turret. They could look for it as well, but ooh, Evolved just trading blow for blow. Level 11,
oh, he gets tagged.
Real nimble.
Yeah, this is a bad time here. The kick, though, is not going to come in time. What an arrow from Lost. Here comes the Shen just in time to stand united as Evolved is going to execute poor old Gyu, and Lost, unstoppable and well-deserved, is going to take down Anda for the 1-2 punch.
And what an arrow from Lost, saving that entire dive for TSM Academy and just destroying any plan that Evil Geniuses had for that situation. And now it's just absolute domination here in the second game, and just riding off the back of what was just a single dragon fight in the favor of TSM Academy. This scrappy composition that they cooked up was questionable at first in that bottom side of the map, but they've found that wound, they have patched it up, and they are stronger than ever.
Yeah, I was looking for the Shen ult cooldown, and Dokla didn't have it quite up when Evolve was getting dove, so Evolve did a good job buying time. I forgot about the other 2 globals that Lost and Treats have on this team that made that dive a lot less scary than it looked like from the outset. So Evolve, I think, knew what cooldowns are up, just bought enough time for his team to turn it back around, and then TSM take full control of that bottom lane situation as they're going to start up Rift Tower number 2. They've knocked down mid almost there as they do damage to it. They've still got that first tower. They're up 11 kills to 3, and that gold lead is not slowing down. Up about 4k as they look to take down this second Herald.
The only speed bump they're dealing with is the immense farming differential between Gyu, Kumo, and Dokla and Evolved, respectively, right? Like, yes, those are nice. Yes, it's giving some additional gold, but it's just not where they need it. And here, this is that dive once again. Lost is already walking down, so he knows this is all happening. He says, all right, I'm looking for it, finds the snipe, beautiful play onto the correct member of Gyu, and with the teleport from Dokla, they just close out that dive, and a beautiful deflection of that plan going completely awry for Evil Geniuses Academy. You think of how can you swing back? How can Evil Geniuses get a grasp of this game? And honestly, with the composition that they built up, it's a poke and kite comp, right? You need to get a lead to where your damage, your harassment from afar is just like immeasurably annoying to where they can't deal with it. And the fact that you are now 4,000, almost 5,000 gold behind, there's no way that they're going to really have an issue with it, because you have Treats on Soraka who can shrug it off. Dokla is not even going to feel a shot coming in from Deathly, and Evolved is just going to be able to duck, dip, dive, and then burst you out.
Yeah, Evolved also has the Gunblade now, which he didn't have the last time he got dove.
Finally finished.
Winston's going to go ahead and channel Rift to mid. So they're going to take this mid out nice and cleanly as well. And Lost has also finished his Infinity Edge. So he is a full Essence Reaver up on Deathly.
And I'm glad you called that one out, because I was looking at the basic way that he's been building, and usually you see Ash be like, all right, go Infinity Edge or Essence Reaver into the Runons for that team fight. When you're so far ahead, you just need more damage, right? And just burst them down with those auto attacks. And because there's no way that Evil Geniuses is going to be building tanky for any of these members. So great call on Lost with that itemization, and another hit coming in.
Just keeps happening. The combo continues as Lost is dominating. Arrow into Soraka E, into Dance on their corpses. TSM going to pick up one and make it the Drake as well. This is just looking too easy for TSM Academy right now.
And this is honestly what I was expecting out of TSM in this series. More methodical, very strong play out of their bottom side to help sort of swing back the tempo against Evil Genius's more scrappy play style, but it's just been completely flipped on its head, and Evil Geniuses is scrambling for a sense of grasp.
You're so dead. Like, there's just no way you get out of this. Evolve gonna go ahead and grab the kill there as the dive is set up by the rest of the squad. They'll take down the tower as well, perhaps, as EG are trying to counter push the top half of the map.
Not too bad. I like this reply from EG, see if they can get some additional pressure into this top end. Say, okay, yes, all of your members are staying together. Wherever Lost is, it's the same thing as game one. Just detour around it, but it's so impossible to do now with an Ashe just jumping in and a teleport from Evolve.
Yeah, here it comes. Oh, it's going to happen again. Definitely just going to get chased down. He's got flash, and it just doesn't matter. As Evolve now going to get the zap on the mat. See you later, Lux, as there's the double kill out of Akali.
And 0 and 5 on Matt, 1 and 2 on Deathly. This is just brutal to deal with. 20 minutes, it's already Barons available. They have all the members on the objective as well. Like, sure, Lost isn't there. You don't need them. You got the survivability and healing from treats, and you have the capability to just sort of do that percentage health damage with Dokla's Shen. So there's no one there to contest. Even Anda just understands this. He's like, all right, yeah, sure, we know they're on it. What are we going to do about it? We have to prepare ourselves for, honestly, the next game, because it's going to be match point fairly soon. I don't see any way Evil Geniuses really swings back into this game unless TSM throws really hard and really often.
Little thing there too from Evolve. Flips out onto the Baron, checks the back with a ward just to make sure no one's out, and then Shuriken flips back in to get out safely. But stuff the little things. We want to watch the fun stuff, and this was fun from Evolve.
This was so much fun to watch. This is the plays you want to be seeing in your Clash games. Just perfect teleport into the catch. You understand that there's no vision on the opposing side, and Evil Geniuses Academy is just caught in the dark. There's no Nocturne here in this game, though, but it's just an absolute blind map from them. No way for them to really try and understand or track any of the members of TSM Academy.
We want to talk about Chris mechanics. Emote into instant Gunblade Zap to make sure you get the second kill is a very effective use of his high APM. Evolve is just starting to take over this mid-game. If Lost and Treats have brought them to this position, alongside Winston, by the way, who still also hasn't died, sitting 4-0 and 6, and has been a huge part of how good this early game has looked for TSM Academy. Yeah, if they've kind of brought them to this point, Evolve is going to bring them home by the looks of things, as Lost and Treats going to continue demolishing champions and towers alike, as they'll take down the 4th tower overall for TSM Academy, and they are still going strong here as Ace in the Hole is going to pop Treats. That's actually significant because Soraka can't heal herself without landing Hughes, but this Baron is still up for a minute 45, and I don't see how EG stopped the siege from happening. No,
there's really no answer I can fully argue for Evil Geniuses Academy outside of maybe Deathly and Matt's wave clear could hold him back, but it's a Baron empowered wave every single time crashing into these turrets, and Lost and Evolved are just going to be bashing in, sieging you constantly. Winston on the side is going to, if you extend, absolutely chase you down, and with Treats you can just constantly be confident in being happy, being content, and being healthy with her heals coming in. So Evil Geniuses, the death by 1,000 cuts has been turned on its head, and it's them that are dying slowly.
Oh, another arrow into the root again, but Kumo is going to get out for now. Holger diving with a Shen on top. But a good kick there from Anda, but Kumo, yeah, wrong place to be. Good stasis though, but the Wish is so much healing as Evolved. He's going to stay alive for a little while longer. The headshot is there, though, as Deathly he's able to grab that shutdown, and ENG going to look to turn it back around, but it's only one kill so far. Dokla going to be the next target. This is fine, he says, but maybe it's not, as EG grabbed one at least.
Yeah, one is fine for TSM Academy. Yes, you dived in, got a little bit in over your heads with the full commit before the turret was gone. And even though Kumo was just in the middle, the Zanya's timing was perfect. He got the Q proc on multiple members to help shred them down with the max HP shred from Lilia's passive. But the Treats heals coming in, the Wish making sure all of the members were healthy enough. Great targeting from Evil Geniuses Academy to burst down Evolved and find him in the Shroud. But you don't lose really anything from TSM outside of that one member to slow the game down just ever so slightly.
All right, well, TSM gearing up for the Cloud Soul very quickly here in this game. 35 seconds and it'll be theirs. They've taken 3 straight Drakes in just a short amount of time, as they have been ahead for so much of this game. Still 5,000 gold ahead, but EG are going to be forced into a 5v5 that they don't want. We'll see how they tackle it here.
This is just some NA RAM here, Pastry. There's nothing else for TSM to do. They're like,
that's
can't
true.
Control side lanes. They're like, you just find a pick, we dive them, and we kill them. That's all we need to do. 10 seconds until Dragon. Yes, that's great. Look at the vision control they have on that bottom side. They are absolutely shining down there. And then now with this Soul going to be taken down, all of EG is on the top side. They know that there's no way for them to contest it, or they just had a little bit of a poor timing on that one. And with the Cloud Soul, the cooldown reduction on this Wish and this Enchanted Crystal Arrow is going to be absolutely insane. I wonder if Lost Arrow is actually like on like a 60-second cooldown, because that's just going to be an arrow a minute, a fight a minute, and that just means Evil Geniuses are going to get overwhelmed by the amount of times TSM is going to be able to fight them.
Yeah, I'm curious to see how fast the cooldown starts ticking away. As Lost surely going to be looking for one in just a few moments. Even checks the Wolf Camp just in case. His Treats is going to go ahead and sweep out that blue trinket because TSM have grouped up nicely to take down turret number 6. They look to take down the bottom tier 2. Giyu going to dive in and make something happen. Gets arrow to the face though. As Evolved has already dove in, but he's trying to dash out the back. He's into stasis. He needs a little bit of help to get out of this one, but Dokla is the hope he needs. The Wish is not enough though to stave off the incoming damage, and Dokla's taking up the tower, doing a pretty good job of it, if I may add. But Kumo slapping in there with the Q, but no ulti, as he does pop it, puts 2 to sleep, but the Ragnarok is popped there for Winston to keep everybody else out. A very good attempt there for EG, but not quite enough, unfortunately, due to the gold difference.
And one evolved for one turret is the trade for TSM Academy, and they just go straight back into it. 16 kills to 5 and an immense gold lead. Sure, it's 5,000, but with the team composition that they have, 5,000 is just enough for them to really take this game by storm. And it's been doing so for the past 15 minutes, Pastry. It is insane how well they are able to take their advantage, and all of it just coming off of that dragon fight. Like step 1, it was they had the pressure on the bottom side. Definitely and Matt were already, in a sense, in a good state. But the 2 kills on the Lost, giving him that BF sword really early, meant that they had the damage for that early fight, and this is the result of what we've been seeing. It's all been Lost hard carrying his team and is proving the reason why he is statistically just slightly better than Deathly.
Yeah, I mean, he hasn't died this series.
Yeah.
So certainly keeping the KDA intact as far as wanting to stay on top of that particular competition. Lost going to get eats and poke, but he's going to heal that back up nice and quickly, even as a QSS right now for good measure. So 3 items plus a premier defensive item as well means that it does feel like TSM are well equipped despite the hiccup there. To keep taking over this game. There is Baron up in 5 seconds. TSM did not crack an inhibitor down. That's one of the things that EG can lean on as good news, but that is about the extent of it. As Winston is getting in there for the vision. He is really embodying the old battle ward mentality that Peanut used to have. He is just checking all the brushes with his face.
Oh, and I love it, especially with the cloud environment that he's getting with the bonus movement speed. He's just like sprinting around, just like doing laps around this red buff camp and just making sure he can keep track of Anda and the rest of Evil Geniuses Academy to prepare for this inevitable Baron. Honestly, you're going to wait for him to go ahead, possibly take that blast cone over and prepare for it, but he is, honestly, this is a little bit wasting too much time here, Winston. This is where you back off, this is where you prepare and say, you know what, Lost, push out that wave, let's go now. All right, little awkward timing, gives a small amount of breathing space for Evil Geniuses to read it, but they're already, their eyes are blotted out. Winston has started it, Lost is shredding it apart with this Ashe, and there's a Hail Mary rush for this contestant.
Yeah, I think the reason they waited is because they have such good side lane control, but EG are going to get spotted. Treats is now going to run interference. Going to try and slow down Anda. Steal certainly on the table if he can get in there. Treat's going to get queued, but it's just going to run away here. No one's going to follow. The stun's going to land, and here comes Evolved over the top. They're going to flip into the fight here, but the redemption is down. He gets kicked out of it, though, but here comes Dokla with the Stand United. There's the execute in onto Deathly, and TSM, they'll take the fight. They don't need the Baron, as that's going to be 3 dead already. Make it 4 as Kumo into stasis, but only for a short while longer, and is going to die, and that is going to be the ace and the game for TSM Academy.
And it was Lost that got his team here, but it was Evolved and Dokla who closed it out. All 3 carries were there for the finish and taking it to match point here in this series. This is the expectation that we were looking for from TSM Academy, being the best seed here against Evil Geniuses, who were able to wiggle their way into the semifinals. But now, welcome to the semis of Evil Geniuses Academy. TSM Academy is online.
Yeah, looking like it's going to be a lockout, but we'll have to see. TSM, they're going to take down the Nexus to make it official, and they'll take the 2-0 scoreline as well. EG still in this series, but if games look anything like that, EG have no chance with how TSM are looking. You know, maybe Treats in it a game to calibrate, because they're looking awfully sharp now in the 2v2.
Yeah, and Evil Geniuses, I'll give them a commendation for making creative compositions with Lilia and Jace
I
in
love
the
their
solo
drafts.
lanes. Their drafts are very fun to watch. They're really unique and holding these picks until the last second. The Soraka was a little, like, I thought it was troll, but then Treese just played it so spectacularly and was able to just dominate those fights. And for some reason, Matt and the rest of the Evil Geniuses squad never respected it. Sure, you had the Executioners calling, but Ignites were on cooldown every time there were fights. They weren't onto the right targets, and the targeting was just so awkward from them that TSM, with that 2 kills from Lost, was able to just take this game by storm. I'm really looking to see how well Evil Geniuses and TSM are going to go into this 3rd game with these drafts, because it's game time for EG. I think they need to go back to old traditional.
Yeah, certainly is like the obvious draft point is you clearly cannot ignore Akali, right?
Yep.
They banned it last game on the red side. They left it open this time. TSM instantly took the pick, and even though the laning phase was rough with the counter pick that Yu gave himself with Jace, Evolve took over the rest of that game, certainly. So a champion that will continue to be contested and very likely banned between these two teams, especially if a side switch does happen. Things did actually start pretty well, though, for EG, we have to mention. So we'll take a look at the first blood in just a moment and see how that one cooked up, because if I recall correctly, this was an EG first blood in the 2v2.
Yeah, and it was at that level 3 power spike where Deathly and Matt had all of their tools online. They had the capability to have that trading potential with the shields and the lockdown, and this was Kumo just sort of being way too aggressive and in over his head. Like, we had a great call from communication from TSM Academy saying, hey, and is going to be trying to do vertical jungling. Let's spot him out. Cool. We know where he is. Winston gets control of the top side, and Kumo or the rest of the Evil Geniuses, whether it was a communication issue or just like an ego issue from Kumo, really didn't respect the fact that Winston was there and lost his life in the process. So this time around, I'm looking to see if they're looking for a more like well-rounded composition, because this pick comp just did not go well.
It is team fight. I remember this one. This was one of those dragons where TSM just did everything right. I mean, that to me was the moment where I'm like, oh, that's what Ashraka does. That's pretty good. Yeah, I think we should play that more often.
I'm going to be playing that in some duo games when I get offline. But in the end, like, you looked at that fight, and you say, all right, what were the items on all of the members? Like, Lost had that BF and double longswords, where it was just a Berserker Greaves on to Deathly. So there was not a lot of damage, especially with the fight being so spread out already. That plays into the scrappy and brutal composition that TSM Academy had already cooked up. There was no way for them to create space on Evil Geniuses Academy side. So from there, it was just a recipe of disaster for them, and TSM Academy was able to take that and really run with it.
And we saw the stats set briefly. I do want to again commend Winston for out-jungling and after getting destroyed by the Lily in game number 1. Like, the numbers almost reversed after 2 different games. And even though TSM did win the first game, it was very close. This time around, Winston got the edge in the jungle matchup and had the option maybe picking something else, but didn't seem to have a good answer for the Olaf, and Winston able to take over there. But of course, the hero of this series for TSM, we said his name so many times in this game, it was Lost. He just played so good. And the amount of arrows he had, we could not fit into one clip, so we'll just bring a single arrow instead. This is probably the best one of the game, though.
Yeah, this was the best one by far. Being able to deny the entire dive strategy that Evil Geniuses had cooked up to try and get a sense of control back into this game, all being thwarted by those arrows, and just pick after pick after pick. I wonder how big that quiver is on that Ashe right now for Lost, because it is Legolas level of accuracy on him. He is just doing so well. Evil Geniuses now is backed into a corner of saying, all right, well, we can't give him Ashe because he played so darn well. We can't give him Caitlyn because he created so much space, and TSM Academy played really, really significantly over Evil Geniuses in game 1. So now it's saying we're backed into that corner. We need to find a winning bottom lane again to have that recipe of success for Deathly and Met. And we have to answer this issue in the top side of the map where Kumo is just never really able to overwhelm Dokla, and same goes for Gyu and Evolve. There's just no sense of advantage in these solo lanes.
Yeah, very curious to see what sides the team has picked, and we'll get into that as soon as we know. But yeah, we have to worry about Akali. We certainly have to worry about both sides of the common bottom lane matchups now, so whether that's fixing support or trying something completely different and banning some of those champions, it remains to be seen. I did also get word, thank you producers, that blue side was picked for EG, which I think is a smart one. You probably need to start, opening up some of those strong first picks for yourself here, so they are going to go ahead and move things over.
Yeah, and I think it's the best timing as well for them going into Game 3 on match point. You need to get those priority picks. You had Caitlyn beat you, you had Akali beat you now. Get control of those. Maybe get a strong advantage early game jungler again for Anda so he can really shut down Winston once more, who was able to piggyback off of Lost and Treat's success. And you haven't had great success in the counter pick rate either. Like, they're just sort of going to the wayside. Sure, you can still counter pick the setup on the bottom end and make sure definitely and Matt get a winning advantage. But with the neutrality that's been happening in the solo lanes, as I mentioned, is something that you can sort of sacrifice to get that first priority pick.
All right, with that victory, TSM has brought us to match point. The series isn't over yet, but it is looking like it may be shortly. So we're heading to a quick break. When we return, we'll dive into our pivotal game number 3. We'll see you here.